spring of 2022 has brought piping hot stories and even spicier takes in the realms of both sports and music. From Kanye rants to the NBA playoffs, we're here to break down what kept y'all tuned in.
We're offering our own takes on these stories, so brace yourselves for yet another show where two dudes talk about the world around us. This is Perspectives.
All right, Alex, for a few weeks, Kanye West's social media antics took the news by storm. And as is pretty much the case with all celebrity disputes, the world took sides. What side are you on?
Man, I'm Team Kanye. Team Kanye all the way. I've been rocking with Kanye since college dropout, early registration, graduation. Kanye's my favorite artist, man. What side are you on?
It's interesting you say that because those three albums, you even throw in 808s and Heartbreak with Heartless and Amazing. I mean, he has so many seminal albums when it comes to the culture. But I've got to be honest, if I'm looking at his behavior from just a non-celebrity, a non-beloved celebrity at that, it's problematic. I mean, it's borderline harassment in the way that he was, like texting Kim, threatening Pete, who he so lovingly called Skeet. I think it speaks to how we interact with celebrities on a level, I think we let them slide with some behavior that we otherwise wouldn't.
Well, I'm a little biased when it comes to that because, first of all, I don't like the Kardashians. I'll just put that out there. I hate every single one of them. But after watching the Netflix documentary Donda, it really opened a whole new perspective for Kanye on me. Because, just watching how he had to deal with the loss of his mom and seeing how close they were, I know, that took a toll on him. So I give him a little pass on the mental health sometimes. Yes, he can be crazy. Yes, his antics get out of control. But I give him a little pass sometimes.
And I think that's totally a fair opinion and take on the matter. But, we can't discuss Kanye without his most recent venture.
Donda being, like I just said, watching that documentary, at first, I'm not going to lie, I did not like the album. I didn't like it the first couple listens. But after watching that documentary, like I said, I appreciated it at least. I still don't like the music, but I appreciate, the effort that went into it.
Yeah.
Knowing how hard he worked and how close him and his mom were, like I said. What do you think about it?
First reception, very similar to yours. A little experimental, but I mean, that's like most of Kanye's recent albums. Even some of his earlier albums you could call experimental. But, the big selling point for me, or the lack of the selling point for me, was that it didn't feel like there was an anthem, You think about Graduation, you got Stronger, Everything I Am, Good Morning, you have bangers on, Graduation. You think of Late Registration, All Falls Down, There's so many great songs and great albums that are album defining. For me, Donda just lacks that a little bit.
I mean, you're right in a sense, but
yeah.
On Spotify right now, Praise God, the one with Travis Scott and Baby Keem, that's actually number one on Kanye's streams right now. And I listen to that song every day. I'm not going to lie. It gets me going, man. But I got to disagree with you on that one take, but I understand what you're coming from.
Yeah. But, it wasn't any of the songs that we've talked about that took the headlines at the Grammys. It was actually Jail by Kanye West that won Best Rap Song. And some other artists that really kind of, not shocked the world, but took a newer genre per se. Bruno Mars, Anderson .Paak with Leave the Door Open won Record and Song of the Year. What'd you think? What'd you think of the two of those guys making it happen?
I love it. I love the whole album. I'm an old school music guy,
Me too.
I just love how they incorporated, an old school vibe with new school melody, man. It was beautiful to me. Smoking Out the Window, all of them, bro. I be listening to those all the time. But what did you think about the Grammys?
I agree with everything you said about Leave the Door Open. I mean, it was that old soul, that old funk, and, it hit on all cylinders for me, without a doubt. Some other mentions, Foo Fighters actually won 3 Grammys, Best Rock Performance, Best Rock Song, and Best Rock Album. And, all that is kind of low-lighted, I guess, by the fact that longtime Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins, their drummer since Color in the Shape, died on March 25th. And in terms of living drummers, he was arguably the best around. And so I'd say he'll be dearly missed.
Yes, I agree, man. He rest in peace. Was that the highlight of your Grammy, seeing the Foo Fighters run a few, though?
Yeah, without a doubt. And, even with the Grammys being, somewhat meaningless, and that's been highlighted by artists like The Weeknd in recent years, it was still nice for them to get some recognition. And, speaking of award shows, though, we've got Rod and Sam coming up, talking movies, talking the Oscars, and what kept everyone engaged in terms of the silver screen.
Let's give it to him.
Thank you, Daniel and Alex. Right now we're going to be talking about the Oscar ceremony, and I can't think of a better place to start than talking about the Will Smith and Chris Rock slap. So, Rod, how do you feel about that?
I thought it was a very shocking moment. It was something that happened on national television, and Will Smith walking onto the stage for slapping Chris Rock about a comment he made to his wife. It's like, whoa, that is something I have never seen on national television. And I thought that Chris Rock handled that pretty well. I feel like he handled that very professionally, and he did a good job at keeping his composure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, when you're talking about the way that Chris Rock got slapped, he just took that like a champ. I think that's definitely worth commending on his part. I just think that if I were to go up to in that award show in that moment, I don't think I could have kept my cool like Chris Rock did.
Yeah.
But I think that it was a wild moment that happened in an award show that was otherwise kind of boring, kind of dry, in my opinion. I wasn't too crazy about the hosts. I believe it was Amy Schumer and Wanda Sykes were two of the hosts. I just didn't think that I think that Wanda probably could have done it alone. I don't know. Amy Schumer just always kind of seems to ruin everything she's in.
Yeah. But speaking of that, Chris Rock had a show coming up, and he barely sold any tickets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But after that slap, he had a completely sold out show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody came there because they wanted to hear what Chris Rock had to say, because Chris Rock wasn't really out just talking on Twitter and things like that. He wasn't really talking about it.
No.
It was a lot more of his brother talking. His brother was just saying how he don't how he disrespected his brother.
Yeah.
And when he see Will Smith, it's gonna be on site. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because now Will Smith has been suspended from the Oscar for 10 years.
That's just crazy to me. I don't know if I agree with that.
I mean, people have done a lot worse.
Oh, yeah. You look at Roman Polanski. You look at guys like I said, Roman Polanski, just people that done absolutely terrible stuff. Harvey Weinstein too.
Ooh.
These guys done absolutely terrible stuff. They're either in prison or wanted for it, and they still have kept their Oscars. Yeah. I just think that if the Academy was to take away Will's Oscar, they would need to do it for them too.
And I don't really think they took it away. I think they just suspended him.
Yeah,
So the good thing out of that is that at least he got to keep his Oscar. They didn't take it from him, and which I would have been a lot even more madder that if they would have took my Oscar from me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This is his first Oscar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's a moment that you would never forget about Will Smith receiving his Oscar. You will always remember this in history, how he got his first Oscar, and that was
two of the biggest moments in Oscar history happened in the same night. That's wild.
You can't make this up.
And it was the one that I missed. It was the one that I didn't watch till after, man.
Yeah.
That's the worst part. But I think that a lot of the reason I didn't want to watch this award show is because they took away so many of the awards during the ceremony. I guess they were trying to increase viewership by trying to show more of the awards before and then make the main events during the show. But I just think that's a bad way to handle it, man. I think that the Academy Awards, they're supposed to be for recognizing different artists and different talent in the industry. And when you take away awards during the show, it just seems like they don't value them. Like editing is such a crucial part of the filmmaking process that when you don't have an editor, winning an award, it's tough. It's just really tough.
Yes, yeah. So, let's move on to a little bit of animation in the Oscars. Encanto. What did you think of Encanto?
I thought it was a pretty okay Disney movie. Not my favorite ever, I'll be honest.
I thought it was totally trash. It was so much hype and Encanto is so good, it's so good. But it I thought Coco was better.
Yeah,
and Kanto was just. I don't know. It's just. It wasn't all a hype.
No, it really wasn't. No.
Just like the new Batman movie that just came out.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I thought that was terrible too.
You didn't like Batman?
I didn't like Batman at all. I guess I'm used to like these heroic scenes from like Marvel and things like that. So like, I got high expectations for like Batman because like even the old Batman were a lot better. You know, The Dark Knight. You know what I'm saying? Like all these old Batman was pretty good, but this one is more like a detective. Like in his first 2 years, and like I just really didn't like it because it seemed like it was more about the Riddler than it was about Batman.
Yeah. And I think that's. I see your perspective on that, but I really think that this is a moment in Batman's career where he's like young, he's just starting out. I think it's really cool to see this from like a different perspective because the other Batman movies, they're more so about him being in like a super powered universe, like a very comic book universe. But this movie just felt like more so like he was a regular guy dressing up and helping people like on his own. Like it didn't really feel like a traditional superhero movie. But I think that's like a different take. It's something different. And the villains that exist in this universe, they're still cool. They're still like the comic book villains that you know. They're just more adapted to like a real world scenario. Like I think the stuff that they did with Riddler, it was a little bit different than like what Riddler would normally be, but I thought it was kind of cool. They treated him like a Twitch streamer, or like a Instagram Live type guy. I thought it was kind of different, And then you have like Paul Dano, the creepy looking. He plays a very specific character, but he plays that character to a T. And I just think that it was a different movie, but it was one that I enjoyed.
Did you get to see the end of Batman, like in the credit scene with the really? I don't know if that was that the Joker, like
that was supposed to be the Joker. Because that was interesting to me because the interviews that I read, they were talking about how they weren't necessarily setting up like a universe, like they weren't setting up multiple movies. It was just to show that like there have been messed up people in Batman. I thought that was different. I thought it was a really cool take.
But one thing I did like about Batman was like the cinematography in it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they had some great shots. As a photographer, filmmaker, like I see those shots and I take those shots and use it for myself.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like amazing how they did that.
Yeah.
Like the cinematography and even in Kanto, like
yeah.
It's great now. You know what I'm saying? Like even though the storyline could be trash, but like the shots are beautiful.
Oh no, the shots in Encanto were awesome. Like even like the dance scenes, like the musical numbers, like they mocap those to make them look more realistic. I thought that was so cool. I thought that they've had like live shows where they do the choreography. I think there's a lot of potential to maybe make it like a Broadway show. Or just maybe expand upon it in different animated sense. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, they had a good song. We don't talk about Bruno. But yeah, it was just great. It was just great. But let's move on. Let's move on.
I think I'd kind of like to go back to the animated topic real quick. I just think that there's a lot of animated movies that came out this year, and a lot of them were pretty good. I didn't personally care for Raya, or I didn't personally see Flea, but a lot of them were just. I think like 3 of them were Disney picks. Like 3 out of the 5 were Disney picks. I think that's interesting. Like that they have so many different stories to tell, but it feels limiting. You know what I mean? There's so many animated movies out there, and a lot of them get swept under the rug because of major companies like Disney or DreamWorks. Like they just have to have like their advertiser-friendly pick. And to kind of talk about that, a lot of the time, like when they talk about like the animated awards, like even when they introduced them, they were talking about how, they're meant for kids and they're supposed to be something that parents sit through. I think that's a terrible mindset to have. Like Flea is about a very like real world, like heavy topic. And then like films in the past, like the anime film Silent Voice, it was a lot about dealing with trauma and like bullying and like how you kind of move on from like changing as a person. But they didn't even recognize that. They put the Boss Baby over that movie. It's just crazy. Like it feels like it's an industry that doesn't get any respect, and just like even the creators of a movie called Mitchell's vs. the Machines, which was like the fan favorite pick that was supposed to win. They got nominated. They were like the hopeful to win, and then they didn't. And a lot of people were upset about that. Like even the one of the creators that like talked to them, like they said that at one point different directors were talking to them about graduating to like the big leagues, like saying that animation doesn't matter. I think that's messed up.
Yeah, that's how it was for you see Miles Morales.
Spider-Man
into the universe.
And the Spider-Verse, yeah, I love
Spider-Verse. Man, like that was one of the best movies.
Oh my god, I love Spider-Verse. That's like my favorite. That's my favorite Spider-Man.
Yes, and I don't even think it received like any like I don't know if it received any nominations or anything
It
like
did.
that.
It did win Best Picture, thankfully,
Okay.
which it earned that. There was no way I would have been mad if that didn't win.
Yeah. Have you seen Soul?
I have seen Soul.
So like even Soul like was who's like voiceover by Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Like, that was like it had a great storyline, you know.
Yeah, I thought
like
Soul was awesome.
I don't think it got anything either.
It might have won Best Picture. I'm kind of a little shaky on last year's Oscars too, but that was a really great movie. I love Soul. I think that a lot of the time that it's these stories that you don't expect to be like something like that you get a lot more out of. I really like Soul. I think to kind of go off on that, like speaking of like award-worthy movies, I think it'd be good to talk about like the horror film genre. It just does not get the recognition that it deserves. You're talking about movies like Us. I don't even think Us got anything. Like it didn't get nominated for anything. And it's such a good movie. Like, I love Jordan Peele movies.
Yes.
I mean, Get Out was great. I loved that movie. It rightfully got the recognition it deserves. It's not, like, exclusively horror, but I think that it did get some good.
You thought Us was good?
I did think Us was good. You didn't like Us?
No, I did not. It was the same people, like, just trying to kill each other. Like, trying to take over, like.
But it's kids killing adults. That's crazy to me. Like we talked about that before. That is like the biggest way you can mess with people.
So it's kind of like Children of the Corn.
Children of the Corn. Oh my god.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think that movies like that, like movies like Hereditary that have been big. Like Toni Collette. She was like the main character in that movie. She gave like the performance of a lifetime. Like people were mad that she got snubbed. The Lighthouse, one of my favorite movies ever, has Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, current Batman. That is such a good movie, and I think it only got nominated for cinematography, which it would have been a crime if it didn't. I just think that these movies are so artistically well done. There is so much to offer in horror movies, that these different narratives that really challenge your thinking. They're not, I think the problem is they're not really advertiser friendly or whatever, but I think that there is so much potential there to get a lot out of a little. And I think that the Academy should recognize more of those.
Now, there are plenty of sports stories that have piqued the interest of viewers. Specifically, though, I need to hear your thoughts on this year's March Madness.
When I think about March Madness, I want Cinderella stories, I want underdogs, and I want close games. This year delivered on all of that. And you can't talk about Cinderella stories and underdogs without mentioning the miraculous Elite Eight run by St. Peter's. Just in terms of some regional pride here, they were the first team from New Jersey to make the Sweet 16 since Seton Hall in 2000. And they were the first team from New Jersey to make the Elite Eight since Seton Hall in 1991.
Only that, but also they were the highest seed ever to make it to the Elite Eight. Being the 15 seed, man, not only did they take America's hearts on the court, but off the court as well. With Doug, rocking the mustache. I see you rocking the mustache today.
Yes,
man,
sir.
Everybody just loves St. Peter's. And on their route, they knocked out some pretty big teams. Purdue, UNC, who actually went to the national championship. They ended up losing to in the Elite Eight. But what do you think about that game with the comeback, man? They blew that one.
Yeah, they blew it for sure. And it's kind of a shame, too, because UNC, they gave Coach K the best retirement present two times.
Twice, man.
Two times in a row. And, they had that come-from-behind victory against UCLA. It really seemed like the year for UNC, but in terms of the championship game, one of the things that I was super impressed with was Kansas' defense. I mean, it was tenacious. It was intense. That second half, they just had a little bit left in the tank, which, you're a baseball player. I'm a lacrosse player. If you have that little bit left in the tank when it gets crunch time, those are the teams that usually win.
Yeah,
that's what the case was in Kansas, at least from my perspective. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying right there, man. UNC, they just didn't have enough to get it done. But I think a big thing in that game, what's the kid's name? Baycott, I think. Him going down with the injury with 2 minutes left, that really threw their groove off, because that's a big player for them. But I agree with everything you say. They got to have that little bit left, and Kansas did. They didn't, so Kansas ended up getting the victory.
Absolutely. And so high-stakes basketball, that's what America loves. So we can't talk about high-stakes basketball without mentioning the NBA playoffs that are going on right now. Who's coming out of the East? Who's coming out of the West? Who takes the cake? Who's your world champions this year?
That's a tough question now. I'm not going to lie. Like, after watching a couple games, going into the playoffs, I really thought it was going to be Suns, Warriors, Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
And I was thinking the Suns were probably going to come out the West, but now all the injuries that are happening, Devin Booker going down, he's going down for game 3 and 4. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure who's coming out the West right now, to be honest. I guess if I had to take a pick, I'll go with the Warriors for right now. Then out the East, same way, man. Injuries, Bucks. I was liking the Bucks with Chris Middleton going down. He's going to be out game 3 and 4. Then the Nets. Everybody's fantasizing the Nets, but I don't think the Nets are anything special.
I'm not buying into the hype. I'm not buying into the hype.
No, man. What do you think, though?
So coming from the West, so I'm from Memphis. Mm-hmm. So I've got a little bit of a bias going on. I'm a Grizz fan. I'm a Grizz fan hopeful. So they're my sleeper coming out of the West. But you know, I was watching the Warriors Nuggets game the other day. Jordan Poole adding that to the Splash Brothers, who are in perfect form right now. I mean, they were hitting spot up shots in the corners. They were off the dribble. Steph was doing his thing. It's scary how good they are and how we forgot how good they are when they have their best 5 out there. Adding Jordan Poole to the mix is huge. So I feel like they're going to be a tough team to beat. You made a good point about the Suns, though. They get D-Book back and healthy. They've got the swagger of a potential world champion. Mm-hmm. Coming out of the East, I was a Celtics fan for a little while there when they had the big 3 with Rondo, Paul Pierce, KG, can't forget Ray Allen as well. But they're giving it to the Nets right now.
They really are.
So I think they could make a run. I'm also liking the Heat right now. They're giving it to the Hawks. You know, they're both up 2-0 in the series, I'm fairly sure. So I'm gonna have to go with the Celtics coming out of the East. World champion. You know what? No, I'm not going to buy into the Warriors thing. I'm going Grizzlies. All right. I'm putting it in there. Grizzlies are winning the world championship.
Now, I have to ask, though, with the East, the Celtics, are you worried about Ben Simmons coming back game 4? There's some talks going around.
You know, I'm not really sure how much of an effect he's going to be able to have in the short term. Now, I'm not going to act like I know what I'm talking about when it comes to Ben Simmons, you know, being on a new team. That can do wonders for a player's confidence, a new dynamic, new environment. Maybe we see the Ben Simmons that we thought we were getting, you know, coming out of college. You know, I hope so. I like to see players succeed, but you know, 2-0 is hard to come back from, especially with the Celtics team that's gained confidence.
I agree. I don't honestly, personally, I don't think Ben Simmons can get thrown into a Game 4 atmosphere like that and lead a 3-0 comeback. So I really don't think it's going to change much. I agree with you.
All right, so welcome back to Tech Talk. Today we're going to be talking about the Oculus Quest 2. Now, Rod, I know this is your bread and butter. Why don't you go ahead and lead us in on this one, man?
All right, so the Oculus Quest 2 is a VR headset, right? It was made by Facebook Mark Zuckerberg, and it's just a virtual reality where you can go in and talk to people online and have conversations with different people. You know, you can play multiple games like baseball, golf, even basketball and football. You know, you just have these movie theaters you can go into. And it's just this amazing experience. You know what I'm saying? During COVID, a lot of people purchased VR headsets because they couldn't go out and do stuff, you know. So they did it on VR. Yeah. And which brought a lot more people together in a bigger community of the metaverse. Yeah. And now the metaverse is becoming a hub where people can purchase things online. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to go out. They can just do it in a virtual mall, in a VR mall. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The VR is a way to interact with people. Yeah. You know, from all over the world. You know, no matter where you come from, you can come together in virtual reality. Yeah. And you can talk, you know, hang out and do things like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's becoming to the point where they're making vests and different things like that where if somebody hits you in VR, you can feel it. Yeah. You know, and like technology is evolving and it shows it in the metaverse. It shows it in the Oculus Quest 2. Mm-hmm. You know, they got that Ready Player One type stuff with the feeling vest. That's really cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. Now I remember you showed me a lot of it a long time ago. This was way earlier on, but I think that it's got a lot of cool stuff. It's got a lot of cool potential. I remember you showed us they had that movie theater one where you could like go in and like sit next to people, and we had a dude sit next to us, and he was like talking to us.
I thought that was a really cool experience. It's something that you can't really get from a lot of like conventional games or a lot of conventional experiences, except for maybe like VR chat or something like that. But that's a different thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool, but I can see a lot of concern being raised for the different like privacy issues that they got going on. Okay. I think that it's really tough to police a lot of stuff like that, especially just like in a digital space in general.
Yeah. There are a lot of predators in VR. Like, cause VR also has a lot of kids in there.
Yeah.
And, but think about it is, Facebook has made it to where you need a Facebook account to sign up for Oculus. And a lot of kids doesn't have Facebook. So a lot of their parents create their accounts and things like that. But they're taking that away.
Yeah.
They're taking away you don't need a Facebook account to do it. And I really feel like there still should be some type of age limit on what you can do on the VR headset and what you cannot do. Because a lot of predators are out there and they're trying to get people addresses and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of a big problem with that too. But Facebook is working on that to get that fixed.
That's good.
Because
I think they're really trying to push this digital future type thing. So I think this is something that they want to get done right away. Get this consumer friendly. Get their ideas how they're going to have privacy, security. I think that it'll be a while before I personally would buy into it, but I think that if they were to make these steps, I think maybe I'd be more willing to do it, and maybe more willing to make my future kids more willing to do it. It's just there's a lot that goes into it. I will say the metaverse in general, this is probably the first time that I've seen a practical use for NFTs and stuff like that. Because I don't know how you feel about crypto stuff, but
I think, like I said, I think it's evolving. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be used a lot in the VR world, and it's going to get to a point where everybody's going to pretty much have one. Like I said, it's going to be just like Ready Player One.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what Facebook is trying to get to. They're trying to make it to where it's affordable for everyone. Even Apple is coming out with some VR glasses.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? So, and PlayStation VR, everybody's and they're all able to connect and be one. So you don't just need an Oculus Quest 2. You can use any type of VR, or you can also use a computer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're trying to make it to where it's affordable and where everybody can use it and can come together and talk and have fun and do different things like that and interact with people without being in that actual space.
Yeah.
So Meta is becoming its own world.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just even with fitness and working out, VR is evolving to the point where you're able to work out, lose weight, and it keeps up with those calories and everything else. You don't have to go to a gym.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Anything like that. You can just do it all from the space of your home. And that's what's making VR stand out because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of games like World of Warcraft, you have the virtual worlds, Destiny even, you have those virtual spaces, but it is nowhere near as flexible as metaverse type stuff. That's the part that's interesting to me is all these different games that are starting to use NFTs, all these starting to use the metaverse and implement it. I think there's a lot of cool potential there, but I also think that there's a lot of potential for kind of scam or some shady type stuff, because that's the thing that you hear a lot about NFTs. People are getting their money stolen from it, they're losing money. A lot of even artists that will produce art and then get it stolen and then mint it into NFT. It's a lot to police there.
Yeah, I remember as a photographer, I created an art gallery within VR, and anybody can come in and just see my work, and I feel that's a big help, because if you have a small business or even a big business, that can help you out in VR.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It can get you just known about a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So VR is just, like I said again, it's evolving. It's becoming a thing where everyone can do it. You know what I'm saying? I'll be glad when VR adds Fortnite into it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if this is possible. Fortnite is this, it's huge.
It's giant, dude. They're a game company that's capable of going up and sometimes winning against Apple and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that there is a lot to be said about Fortnite's success. They've been this powerhouse. They've been constantly trying to reinvent themselves. When they were first announced, they were that horde survival mode type game, but then they quickly evolved into the battle royale mode, and they've just been constantly able to reinvent themselves and try different things, and they've been getting more experimental with it. I think in Chapter 3, they finally took out building, and I thought that was going to be a decision that a lot of people would dislike. That's got people wanting to play it again.
But that building is what makes the game. It makes Fortnite different. It's the building function. But again, like, you know, you have so many kids who's evolving in that game, and they're so good.
Oh, dude,
so
yeah.
they get an advantage when they're like so good at building. But I think what Fortnite is trying to do is they're trying to take that away.
Yeah.
And give people like beginners or like just average people the chance to like keep up and like to handle that. And I think it's a good, like I said, I think it's a great idea that they did that.
Yeah, I mean, like personally, like it makes me want to play the game again, like because you see the building, like you shoot at one dude and then they're building like the Tower of Babylon trying to get to you. I just don't think that's fun. But when you take out, when you make it based on like fundamentals, I think then there's something there. And there is just so much cash coming into it. There's so many people that are getting behind this idea.
Yes.
And then we look at these different ways that Fortnite could actually be like beneficial to society. I mean, look at the situation that happened in like Ukraine. They had this event where for the first 2 weeks of March, I want to say, or like last month, they had this special where all the money that they made went straight to the Ukraine or to different like fundraisers. I think that's so cool because they made a lot of money. I think it was like over like 50 million. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean they do a lot of sponsorship with like rappers, and they even have like the Baby, NBA Youngboy. You know, they have like a lot of these rappers where like they have their outfits come out, or like their characters, and like they make money off that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that is amazing. They sell their music. They do all that in Fortnite.
Yeah, like the Travis Scott concert. That was like, that's never been done before. That was like a
Never.
cool virtual space type thing. That was awesome.
Yeah, so like it had everyone to come in and like watch that. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, it's amazing like what technology can do, man.
Oh man, dude, like there's just like all these digital events that like the metaverse is doing. Like a lot of people think like, oh, that's so unique, that's so cool. But there have been people that have been doing that for a while now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been done for years. You know what I'm saying? It's just people are paying a lot more attention to it now.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like it's becoming more of like an accepted idea. People are kind of trying to grab it more. I think it's a really cool thing that they got going on.
Yeah, it is.
I know personally, like a lot of these different collabs they got, like the Travis Scott one was cool. Like then they have like Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. Like it's like they're really putting everybody out there, and I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. And a lot of like the time when people do these like digital events, it's cool to see like what they can put into their events, like what kind of symbolism that they can put in, like people for people to analyze.
Yeah.
You know, like people like Gorillaz have been doing stuff like that for years. Like they're like a digital band, but they've had like so much lore and stuff like that. There are people that spend like hours breaking this stuff down.
Yeah.
And like I'm a big Gorillaz guy. I love their music. That's just a lot to get into though.
It's unreal, man. It's just unreal. It's unreal how realistic, because now like Fortnite and all these other games are using like real engines. Like real engines makes the game a lot more realistic.
Yeah, like flexible.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
Oh, dude, it really is. Like all those demos for like Unreal Engine, you got like the craziest type of graphics that I've ever seen, and I think it's really cool. It's a really cool system they got going. But a lot of the stuff that's really interesting me is like how they go from like digital marketing, like stuff like that. Like there's a lot of like money, like I said, a lot of money to be made there. And there's a lot of marketing potential there. And a lot of people aren't just capitalizing on it in like the game sense. There's a lot of people like on YouTube now that are really trying to change things and like how they go about doing things. Like Mr. Beast, like we talked about how he's like a marketing genius, the way that he does stuff. And he's just like able to use money so effectively. Like he's spending money to make more money. Like that's insane.
And he's like one of the top YouTubers. You know
Yeah, exactly. People are eating this up. Literally, they're eating it up. We're talking about like the chocolate, like the whole chocolate thing they got going on.
This man had a whole like chocolate factory. You know
Yeah, like the chocolate business, like the restaurant thing, like Mr. Beast Burger.
He has like a bunch of these restaurants where he give out free burgers and things like
Yeah.
that, and like just give people money. Like, I want to get in line to go do this. Can I go get in line to do this?
Yeah, honestly.
It's so amazing, like what technology does and how like people can use it to their advantage. You know, like I want to be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be able to like spend money and make more money than I spent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Mr. B he just has it all.
And I feel like we live in a really great time for people to become YouTubers. Like there's so much like easily accessible stuff or stuff that you can get the technical knowledge to learn. Like your film stuff, you got so much of that technical knowledge that a lot of people might not necessarily have. That can make you really competitive in that scene.
Thank you for watching Perspectives. We hope you've enjoyed another two guys talking about sports and music.
It's been a pleasure.
Well, folks, that's all the time we have for today.
Sam, think about a little VR before we leave.
Sure, I'm down. You convinced me.
Good night, everybody.